Good evening and good afternoon and good morning to all our friends joining from all over the world. We are blessed that Phakchok Rinpoche will join us to teach on the Bardos. My name is Jesper and I will be the MC for this teaching event. And we have a team of volunteers working hard behind the scenes to keep us all connected and ensure that everything is working smoothly or as smoothly as possible. First, I'd like to take a few minutes just to cover some practical information. Today, we have oral interpreters in Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese, Indonesian, Vietnamese, German, French, Nepali, Japanese, and Thai. Please take a moment to join your language channel now. Thank you. Today's online gathering is being hosted by Zoom's webinar feature. So you might notice some small differences from previous Samye Institute online gatherings. So if you have a technical question, please use the Q&A function. I see some of you already did find it. Please use that to ask a question to our support team, and they will promptly answer it for you. So at this point, we will be changing the user level of a random number of attendees in Zoom. We're doing this to free up additional space for late arriving participants. So if you do receive a notification from Zoom, please click the OK option to be changed to a panelist. In that way, we will just simply have more room for people. So if you are a panelist, then you can turn on your video so you can be seen by Rinpoche. All the other features of this teaching will be the same. At this point, I'd also like to ask any one of you who do not require translation to kindly consider leaving this webinar and join our YouTube live stream to free up space for students who do require live interpretation. The link to the YouTube live stream has been posted in the chat. Thank you. Let us wait in silence for a few minutes while we make these changes, promoting people to panelists and those of you who move to YouTube. So we will just take a few minutes for that. Thanks. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Thank you for waiting. So we are ready to begin. Phakchok Rinpoche will teach on the Bardos. Today, Rinpoche will take a 5-minute intermission break during the teaching. And at this time, I will share a few important announcements with you on behalf of Samye Institute. If you would like to access the root text that Rinpoche is teaching, you can find it in several different translations by following the link posted in the chat. Now, on behalf of all gathered here, and for the benefit of all beings, I would like to request to Phakchok Rinpoche. Rinpoche, please turn the wheel of Dharma.
Hello, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome again, my beloved, kind gurus. Gyabjitugu Ujin Rinpoche said that knowing Bardo is very equally important for our practice. Personally, knowing Bardo helps me more positive motivate towards learning the Dharma and try to practice more how much pure that I can. This time, Bardo, I divided to 2 days because first I'm going to say about the 6th Bardo, and the second going to be the focus on the liberation upon hearing from Tuktuk Parchikunsir, revealed by great revealer Chojo Lingpa, taught by Mahanguru Padma Sambhava. So I'm going to read the transmissions of the text and try to explain in the text. So benefit to ourselves and others. To begin the teaching, I like to do short supplication, then I'm going to begin. Peman Jungne Jesu Dran Kordo Kandro Mangbo Guru Chiji Jesu Da Doji Jinji Labjere Shik So Guru Bema Zede Hong Kunzan Dorzem Garab Jere Zeng Beman Jimban Jeshonga So Zorunub Nyang Derdun Jazas Kadre Lama Namla Zorba and Omin Juji Ye Bodang Duzon Sanje Kunje Ngowani Rangsem Chugo Ngozo Dunze Bezawe Lame Shabla Sorwande Ma Namkada Nyambe Zemjen Tamje Lama Sanje Rimbo Jela Sorwande Ma Namkada Nyambe Zemjen Tamje Lama Dudre Chuji Kula Sorwande Zo Ma Namkada Nyambe Zemjen Tamje Lama Dechen Longjo Zope Kula Sorwande Zo Ma Namkada Nyambe Zemjen Tamje Lama Tukje Drube Gola Sorwa De So I'm going to begin with the 6th Bardo. The first Bardo is called Bardo of Kene Bardo. So in the English, the Bardo of birth and life. So basically, this Bardo, what does actually mean Bardo? Bardo meaning in the between. So Ke means birth, Ne means live before dying. So that is the between. So we, all of us, is in the Bardo of Kene. So why is so important to understand Kene Bardo? Because Kene Bardo is the place where we need to learn how to practice the Dharma. And Dharma means the instruction given by your Guru, and knowing the instruction correctly and apply correctly. Khenpo Ngakchong, the most famous Khenpo in the 19th century or late 18th century, he mentioned that very important as a student, as a practitioner, we need to have two important quality. The two important quality is the very sharp and clear mind to understand the pith instruction of the Guru, from the Guru, and to apply the pith instruction towards your practice with diligence. So knowing the pith instruction correctly is the first quality, and applying correctly towards with diligence to yourself is the second quality. So knowing correctly and applying correctly with diligence is the two important quality. Khenpo Ngakchong said that one of that you don't have it, then you in part of the obstacle, meaning the part of the obstacles. It makes sense very much. So I can explain very simply. Many of us, we listen the teachings, the instructions, but we don't hear it, because in our heart we don't have the desire to know the instruction, whatever the instruction is, the truth instruction, the real instruction. In our heart, many of us, we have desire of knowing and learning something that we like. So I really think that is one of the big obstacles that I see many of the students. So you need to open the wisdom in your heart. How to do that is your desire to know the pith instruction, whether the pith instruction is go a little bit more harder, that you don't accept it easily, or you don't want to know about it, or you're not looking for that instruction, but your teacher give you the instruction to apply, the truth instruction, and that heart and the desire that you have wanting to know the truth. Then what happens is you're going to hear exactly the teacher instruct. So that's why it's very important that I like to remind all of you that please have the desire to know the truth and the real instruction. When you know that, what happens is you're going to hear the instruction. When it comes to apply, then I like to give you a simple example, advice. Many of us, we are follower. We are not a genuine practitioner. Follower and the practitioner is very different. Many of us, what happened is when this system of the program says you must do such and such hour, such and such a number of whatever practices need to do. Many of the students just do that number and try to finish up and say that I done that practice. Now that is the follower or practitioner. That is the follower, not the practitioner. Practitioner meaning you apply the pit instruction that you receive in the program or out of the program. When you apply the practice in your daily life or in the session, you apply and transformation begins, and seeing your mind are changing from negative to positive, less compassion to more compassion, more desire to getting less desire, and having less devotion to improving to great devotion. That kind of transformation happens through applying the pit instruction, and that we say practitioner. So practitioner and the follower has a very big difference, because practitioner sees the transformation and apply correctly with the diligence and see the differences. So this is the two more important crucial point for Tiene Bardo. In the mentioning here, maintaining mindfulness, focus on the practice to the point of not having regret. What actually highlighting here is the not having regrets. My teacher once says that you need to check yourself and have a thinking little deeply and reflect that in this moment I die, do I have any regrets? So all the instruction that given to us from the gurus and applying it with the diligence, with it correctly, and seeing that you don't have no regrets is the whole idea of Kenya Bardo. So now you can say, Rinpoche, what is the practice that I need to do? So they have so much practice to do. But I like to give you a simple instruction that you can, anyone you are here, whichever lineage you belong to, whichever school you belong to, whichever practice you do, doesn't matter. But the crucial three pillars in our session, our practice is, we divided three portions. Imagine I have 1 hour, meaning 60 minutes. So first 20 minutes, I'm going to focus on impermanence, loving kindness, compassions, and bodhicittas, that kind of mind transformation practices, encouraging us to have more pure motivations and understanding. That kind of transformation of the mind practice is 20 minutes. In the between 20 minutes, the second 20 minutes is a more spiritual practice. I like to say spiritual because that is Hondro, the four foundations of preliminary practice, of visualization, developing stage, or accomplishment stage like yogas or kid yogas, tumos or whatever, or power practices, or guru yoga, devotion practices, is in the 20 minutes, in the second 20 minutes. I call spiritual practice. Then the 40 minutes gone. Now I left 20 minutes. That is just meditation. So anyone doing shamatha or vipassana or mahamudra or dzogchen, whatever kind of meditation, doesn't matter, but you need to give the portion of last 20 minutes for meditation. That is how you divide in your practices, so you have a balance. So all these three is actually interlinked, is actually going to benefit each other. But I realized that many of the practitioners these days are very good follower, but to become practitioner, you need to learn to be independent, meaning that you have instruction and you apply the instruction and see how actually effectively improving and transformation in the mind. That is the differences of follower and practitioner. So now what I did highlight today in Kene Bardo, I highlight actually three things. First, Khenpo Ngakchung instruction. To know Guru's instruction correctly is the first. Applying diligence towards your practice, towards your mind, apply it correctly and transformation diligently is second. Third, this is the first one. Second one, how you divide it through your practice. First portion, mind transformation practice. Second portion, spiritual practice. Third portion, meditation practice. All these three is actually spiritual practice and meditation, but the focus points I just mentioned before has a differences. So that's why I make differences clearly for all of us have clearly structure. Last, the third one is not having regrets. So Kine Bardo is the biggest important in our life. Bardo. In sixth Bardo, Kine Bardo is the Bardo of practice. Right now, this life is the most important for practicing. Don't wait for the Bardo of death or Bardo of Dharmata. But right now is the time to practice. So this is the Kine Bardo. Now the second Bardo is a part in the part of the Kine Bardo we call Milam Bardo. Milam Bardo is Bardo of dream. So what does it mean is when we go to sleep in our life, we sleep 7 to 8 hours. So we collectively all together, we sleep 10, 20, 30 years in the bed. So that's why at least 20 years we sleep or 10, 15 years we sleep. So that's why the Milam Bardo is we before go to sleep and you're falling in sleep until you wake up. For that period of time, sleeping until wake up. So we have deep sleep, we have dream, or you have a little bit, awake kind of sleep, not deep, no dreaming, but so any kind of sleep doesn't matter. Before you go to sleep until you wake up, they we call Milam Bardo. So now many of the people ask me, Rinpoche, what we should do before go to sleep. My guru said, don't do anything extra or something new in the practice before go to sleep. Do the practice that you are familiarized. What do you do every day, and do that. So I give you example. Anyone doing, say, bodhicitta practice, then before go to sleep, you have in your heart, just very gentle compassion or gentle remind of bodhicitta and sleep. Why gentle? Because when you have your mind is very active in practice, you can't fall asleep. So you have gentle mind, having very clear mind, just knowing that you're in the bodhicitta. Just have a little knowing, and you don't need to go through all this bodhicitta's vocabularies. Male sentient beings free from suffering, cause of suffering, intended enlightened. You don't need to go through all that. Just enlightenment. What is the sensing? What is the you physically feel? What your heart feel? In the heart, physically, your whole body sense the enlightenment, the wishing all being enlightened. That wish that you can sense. So go to sleep with that and have that kind of clear mind or knowing that sense, that then go to sleep. It's just an example. Like that with the devotion, Guru Yoga, in your heart center, size of your own thumb, visualizing Guru, like myself, Guru Padma Sambhava, Guru of great bliss, Guru Padma Sambhava in my heart. Have a more clear light shining through whole body. My body becomes like transparency, clear, and that light shine through and just having that notion, then going to sleep. This is the one way to do it. Other way to do it is when you do meditation, then you have the awareness, a gentle awareness of your meditation, whichever meditation, whichever type of meditation you do, awareness, you need to have it and just and go to sleep. So when you wake up, the moment you wake up, you have the same notion of bodhicitta. When you wake up, you have a notion of Guru. When you wake up, you are same state of the awareness. No dream, no dramatic reaction or emotion or mood off or good mood, bad mood, mixed mood, whatever mood. Just whichever meditation you went in deeply, and that when you wake up, the same notion you have that wake up, meaning that we do not have the out because we has so much bad habit, ignorance, that we're not aware in the deep sleep of our practice. But that when you wake up in a similar notion, the similar feeling of bodhicitta or Guru Yoga, which feeling that you went to sleep, when you wake up, the same notion, the same feeling, that means all throughout that sleep that you went through is actually you went through in one meditation state. So that is the key. Key is before go to sleep, when you wake up, which feeling that you woke up. Same awareness, same devotion, same bodhicitta thinking, the feeling, sensing. That means you're in the same state of meditation. That is a very, very, very important key. Please remember. When I say is important, means that is with instruction. This is the instruction given by the genuine masters. Everybody says this, that you need to aware in the dream. Many people we can't because we are not used to do these practices. But we don't need to lose our heart because whatever compassion that we went to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, you have the same feeling you're waking up with compassion, means 7 hours. is compassion. Okay? So we can do that. That is called Milam Bardo. Yeah? So I'm going to give you very simple, easy to apply, and quick instruction. So here we say, before going to sleep, focus on bodhicitta, on the visualizing of the Buddha or Guru in your heart center. I already mentioned. Then try to maintain mindfulness as you fall asleep. But I did not say anything here. When you go to sleep, when you wake up in the same notion, that means you have 6-7 hours of bodhicitta. Now, third Bardo, called something Bardo. That actually called meditative Bardo. It's not about, say, example, I'm doing meditation for 1 hour. So now I sit meditation. So when I begin the meditation, the clock, my timer's on until 1 hour. That is my something Bardo? No. Something Bardo means when your mind is have a awareness it maintains in that meditation until you are not distracted, then that between is the something Bardo, the real something Bardo. But to roughly we can say 1 hour something Bardo, but really actual something Bardo is that when your awareness is stay in the one place without distraction, and that is actually called something Bardo. So now many of people says, Rinpoche, I do meditation and I do not see much improvement. I love to meditate, but I don't have no diligence. So the first, many of us, we meditate, but we don't see much improvements. The first of all, I want to tell you, we need to have called great master attitude. That is the pit instruction. And many of us, we have this called perfectionist. Many of us, we have such a high hope on our own self. We really think we can do it. My dear Dharma brothers, sisters, meditation is a natural. It's not always about you doing the best and the meditation's good, and you not doing good, that's the meditation's bad. It's not always like that. Meditation is like making a mud clay pot. You handle too hard, you handle too soft, no shape. You handle gently, perfect, a nice, beautiful clay pot going to prepare. Like that, many of us, we are completely spoiled, thinking that I control my life, I control my destiny, I can do what I want to do. Meditation is not like that. You need to just let them be. Don't have high hope. Don't lose our hope too. Don't expect anything great. Don't have a fear that you're not going to improve. No expectation and not having fear is called great master attitude. And that is the most important pit instruction that really we are missing in our meditation. Especially many of you get so much instruction from so many great masters and so many books you read. but you reflect yourself why you failing again and again. Because many of us think, I can fix my meditation. And it's not going to work like that. Meditation is a nature, is a quality of innate nature. So when you try to fix the nature, that is not the meditation. That's why you need to, what you need to do, you need to just rest ease. When you go into the forest, when I go to forest, walking on this trail, I don't want to have any expectation. I just want to enjoy the trail. Walk around, enjoy the scenery. I enjoy these rocks, rivers, streams, flowers, whatever, broken woods, old woods, young trees, old trees. You just enjoy the whole journey. You don't make any expectation. When you make expectation, the whole trail journey is become a very mood off journey. You're not going to enjoy it. Exactly, I don't know, many of you can understand my example right now, but my point is that don't make any high expectation and don't have any fear that you're not going to have improvement. That is the key of gentle, natural way of improving our meditation. That is number one key. Now, then many of us, we do different kinds of meditation. So what I want to give you advice is that when you do meditation, the body position is very important, and the breathing is gentle, very important. When you don't have no expectation and don't have fear, what happens is you need to keep reminding in the beginning. What happens? Your mind, the active control freak mind, high hope control freak, suspicious mind, going to be relaxed. So it's not going to be in the gut. So meditation is not a project. Meditation is not a job. Meditation is not something that you need to achieve. Meditation is a quality of nature. So you just sit, don't have any expectation, don't have any fear. Know the meditation is a quality of nature. So you don't try to fix it. Just rest, ease, relax, and gentle. Then now, when you have mindfulness, the awareness is still, I'm sync with my awareness with my breath. That says breath meditation. When my awareness sync with the Buddha, we call Buddha's meditation. When we awareness sync with the thought arising and ceasing and not seeing, we say beginning of vipassana. Meditation is not just making our mind blank. Meditation is not just being active in the mind. Meditation has our clear awareness and having gentle ease in a gentle awareness with and a sync with that place. One point. Gentle sync with one point. Then your body, your breath, your mind going to settle slowly without any expectation, without any fear, without any not going to improve your meditation, that kind of extra thoughts. Then what happens is mind becomes more gentle. So this is the key of meditation. Now, I like to share my own experiences. Meditation improvement, to improve our meditation, we need different type of accumulation. We need to have good accumulation, meaning we need to have good guru, good relationship with guru. We need to have a very good relationship with our own compassion with others. Very important accumulation of gathering good habits, such as like generosity habits, discipline habits, patient habits, habits of diligence. These kind of 4 habits supports the meditation. So we say accumulation merit, but actually I like to say accumulation good habits. We see merit, but many of us is very blank. We don't understand what does really mean. In Tibetan, we say chok, sonam chok. Chok meaning gathering. So gathering many good habits is the key. So like me, I had a good teacher. I had a very good relationship with the teacher. I've really practiced compassion. I try my best relationship with others. I'm being generous. I'm being disciplined. I try my best, all that. Then I have a very sense of trust, and I gathering my habit to have trust towards my practice, and that builds up. I need to collect that. I need to gather the trust, because trust not come within a day. Each time you practice, you're actually accumulating the trust through your experiences. When you accumulate the trust, really great. What happened is, who taught that practice? It's my guru. But the guru taught by who? All the Buddhas, our lineage masters, bodhisattvas. So you get automatically trust to the Buddhas. So that's why we need to accumulate trust. It's very important. So I like to say we need to accumulate a lot of good habits. So I want to say, please don't give up. Accumulate habits. In Dharma terminology, accumulate merit. And now I like to say accumulate habits. Okay? So that is called meditation of Samte Bardo. Okay? So this is practice in your daily meditation practice. Now this is the 3 Bardo is Bardo, Gine Bardo. Now that the Bardo that we going to talk, Guru Rinpoche teaches, and many of us we know that the real Bardo practice is now begins, called 4th Bardo, the Bardo number 4, called Chika Bardo. Now, Bardo, the Chika Bardo, Chunyi Bardo, and Siba Bardo, we divided to these 2 great experiences. We see Chika Bardo, Bardo of death, the moment of death, we see as a moment of the most pure moment, meaning that my master says, of course, we all feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, I remind myself the moment of death, the Chika Bardo, is a Bardo of Dharmakaya. So Buddha of Dharmakaya, we have high potential to actually see and realize the Dharmakaya Buddha. Then the 5th Bardo, the Bardo of Dharmata, is actually we have a high potential to see the Sambhuvakaya Buddha. Then Sipa Bardo is a Bardo of rebirth. We have high potential to see the Nimanakaya Buddha. So Titirikaya Buddha, in our Dharma terminology, in the Vajrayana, we say Tirikaya Guru. Tirikaya Guru, Tirikaya Guru, Dharmakaya Guru, Nirmanakaya, Sambhuvakaya Guru, Nirmanakaya Guru. So we have these chances to realize, to see the nature of the Tirikaya within ourselves. The Tirikaya Guru, the Tirikaya Buddhas is actually one is the nature, one is the essence, one is the potential. These three is actually within our nature. So when we die, the first moment of the death is actually the seeing of the Dharmakaya. So now I'm going to explain more. Why we do say the moment of the death is we able to see Buddha Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya actually means free from thought. Thought-free wakefulness. This Eric Bema-Kunsan translate. I really like that word actually. Thought-free wakefulness is that I can say Dharmakaya. So when we die, you can read the different books, our process of the dying. Basically, our father's white blood is in the brain. Mother's red blood is in our below navel. So this is the sun, this is the moon, and the father is white, moon white, and the mother is red, is the sun. It's like that. Between is a nadi, the channel. So it's going to, when we lose our outer breath, then what happens is when the inner breath like dissolves, so the two father and the mother's sun and the moon is actually going to collapse, together in heart center. When that happens, when they go down, our three habits of emotions or thoughts, the angry thoughts, the desire thoughts, when they collapse in the heart, the thought of ignorance are going to be completely disappears in the split second. So that moment, the practitioner who done Mahamudra or Dzogchen or Rigpa or that kind of emptiness practice kind of practitioners, so they actually can pass away on the notion, the breath going slowly, that awareness maintain, in the your own nature. Then we really hope that when they collapse, and the recognition is so vivid, so clear, because physically, actually, you're losing the whole negative thoughts. And now that moment, your awareness is so sharp, 10 times sharper. And that moment you recognize, because that moment you are experiencing thought-free wakefulness, the genuine, the Buddha of Dharmakaya. And that moment, you don't have no birth. You're already enlightened, meaning they have no mind left to be samsarically reborn. Our mind is completely dissolved by naturally into the nature. So we don't have no rebirths. Rebirth is the mind does the rebirth. So the mind is already gone and your awareness completely recognize that moment. And that moment you recognize is thought-free wakefulness. So that time the awareness is no object, no subject, and no clinging. You already saw the Dharmakaya Buddha. So Bardo of death is so important to see Dharmakaya. Now, Many of you, knowing this, now you have some desire in your heart. Rinpoche, I love to meditate Dzogchen. I really want Dzogchen. Please introduce me Rigpa. I understand your desire. Your desire is good desire. Desire of practicing Dharmakaya teaching. Teaching of the first Buddha, Samyantapatra Buddha. But, my dear friends, we need to have all the good accumulation, habits, to able to understand and realize the Dharmakaya's teaching. We don't have no accumulation, habits, and we don't want to accumulate at all. But then I want Rigpa is little bit too demanding. So please give yourself a really genuine way to desire. You have the desire. What you can do is slowly work with yourself with the collecting good habits and making supplication to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Guru Padma Sambhava. Bless you, bless me, to able to practice that. Whatever good accumulation habit I did, meaning that good karma, good accumulation merit, I make aspiration for understanding and practicing genuinely without any obstacles. Long time ago, my dear father Chongyal Rinpoche, late Chongyal Rinpoche, we went to Hong Kong. And Joel Ho was a translator. And we announced to the Hong Kong students that Rinpoche going to teach Dzogchen. And my late father Rinpoche don't like to teach Dzogchen publicly. And I remember very clear. And he looked at the banner and he saw Chongyal Rinpoche is giving Dzogchen. And he looked at me, he said, who gave the permission that I'm giving Dzogchen? I don't want to give Dzogchen. I said, Father Rinpoche, it's already put there. You need to teach. So actually, I helped to organize, so I just put it there. So Father Rinpoche, late Father Rinpoche is there, he said, to have an authentic teacher, receive authentic teaching, practice authentically, then you're going to have authentic result. Then Joho translated. My father Rinpoche repeatedly saying the same thing, I don't know, so many times that Joho need to translate this and this and that and this, Then what happened is, I went to my father Rinpoche. I said, Father Rinpoche, you better say something else. Don't repeat the same thing. The Father Rinpoche said, okay. So that is my memory. So it's a good memory. So I'm going to stop here for break. And I'm going to continue from the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche La. And we look forward to the teaching being resumed in a few minutes. So we have some important announcements that we would like to share with you on behalf of Samye Institute. We are pleased to share news with you all that Phakchok Rinpoche will return to his retreat land in Cooperstown, New York this September. Rinpoche will begin by leading a Sukhavati retreat during which he will offer teachings on Powa, the yoga of transference of consciousness at the time of death, and practices to establish a connection with Buddha Amitabha's pure realm of Sukhavati. Following this, there will be a Mahamudra retreat, in which Rinpoche will provide guidance on the lineage of essential meditation instructions of Mahamudra within the context of Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings on the perfection of wisdom as contained within the Prajnaparamita Sutra in 8,000 lines. Space is limited for these profound teachings, so you can learn more about Rinpoche's retreats and schedule by scanning the QR code or clicking on the link shared in the chat. Furthermore, we are very delighted to share that Phakchok Rinpoche will be visiting our friends at Samye Bali in October to offer a retreat on the blissful pure realm of Buddha Amitabha Sukhavati. Rinpoche will guide participants through 3 core practices: the practice of Powa, a concise Amitabha breathing practice, and the Sangye Sheshik Seed Tantra, one of the most significant liberation texts in the Dzogchen tradition. Due to limited space, we encourage you to register very soon to secure your spot. This retreat will not be live streamed and will only be available to in-person attendees. We particularly encourage our Buddhist Sangha throughout Asia to join this very special retreat. Currently, oral interpretation will be offered in Chinese, Indonesian, and Vietnamese. To learn more about this exceptional opportunity at Samye Bali, please visit our website by scanning the QR code or following the link posted in the chat. We can only provide such detailed live translations of these events due to the wonderful generosity of our supporting patrons. If you would like to show respect and appreciation for our interpreters, please do so by scanning the code or following the link just posted in the chat. Finally, I'm pleased to share that Samye Institute would like to offer a free month of Vajrayana membership to all those participating in today's teachings. When you join Samye Institute's Vajrayana membership, you will receive unique monthly recorded teachings from Phakchok Rinpoche and Samye's learned Druplas and Khenpos. The Vajrayana membership provides students with instructions in key Vajrayana principles and practical guidance on performing core sadhanas of the Cholin Tesa, such as the Trinlin Nyingpo and the practices performed during our global Sogbum Pujas. These teachings are essential for any of Rinpoche's Vajrayana students. Recently, we released full-length recordings of some of Phakchok Rinpoche's recent teachings, including his profound Mahayoga teachings on the Yangtik Yeshe Sangtal and the liberation upon hearing. By joining, you can hear Rinpoche's teachings on the Lotus Essence Tantra and detailed explanations of the unique Vajrayana approach to ground, path, and fruition. Due to the Vajrayana Samayas, these videos are not available to the general public. At present, these teachings are only available in English. You can learn more by scanning the code or following the link in the chat. Samye Institute also offers an extensive library of teachings in our holistic living pathway for those who are curious about exploring Buddhist approaches to key topics such as happiness and dignity. And for those interested in study and practice, we encourage you to explore the many video teachings and course offerings in our 9 yanas and Path of Meditation pathways. You can engage in self-paced learning and reflection, and our instructors are happy to support you in your exploration. So those were the event announcements and the announcement regarding this 3 months of Vajrayana membership. And Rinpoche has kindly and generously offered us to be able to ask Rinpoche questions today in the second part of Rinpoche's teaching. So this is a great opportunity. And the way that you can seize this opportunity is that you can use the Q&A section. Let me just see if I can see something down there. You post a question down there. You can probably even have a pretext saying question for Rinpoche, and then post the question there. Then we will collect the questions and submit them, and then Rinpoche will answer a number of them. So please, if you have a question in mind, preferably based on the topic for today, the bardos, please use this opportunity to submit your question in the Q&A section. So because of this new offer to ask questions, we will prolong the break just a little bit because you were probably not prepared for this offer. So you will have some time to reflect and put that reflection into a formulated question. Please try and keep your question short, concise, clear, and submit in the Q&A section. So we will now take a little break so that there's time to formulate the questions. So around 7-10 minutes, something like that. And then we will resume Rinpoche's teaching after that. Thank you. Hello all. We just received a few questions on some not able to post a question in the Q&A. So if you are a panelist, then you can also submit your question in the chat function. So if you are struggling with that, then and if you are a panelist, then you can also submit it in the chat. We will be looking for questions both in the Q&A and in the chat. So thank you. All right. So we are returning from the intermission break and are ready to resume the teaching. And thank you guys for bearing with us with all these new technical possibilities we are exploring in this webinar mode. So thank you so much for all of your patience. So now I will leave a word for Rinpoche to continue the teaching, turning the wheel of Dharma.
Welcome back, all of you. So, the story was my late father, Chungin Rinpoche, repeatedly reminding that you need to have correct teacher, authentic receiving teachings. Authentically, you may practice correctly, authentically, then you're going to have authentic results. These days, it's so difficult to find authentic teachers. Now, authentic teachers need to have genuine practice, himself or herself, and genuine practice, humbleness, compassion, experiences, and the most important part, that person must have the great instructions, important instructions. But finding authentic teacher is not just done. You need to receive authentic teachers, authentic teachings. Authentic teaching receiving is not just done. We need to apply authentic practice. That's why you can see that late Father Chungin Rinpoche instruction is one of the more fundamental teachings of the Dzogchen tradition. And many of us, we don't have that conditions yet, or we do have some conditions. Please do make aspirations, supplications, and dedications. This is very important to have correct, authentic teachers and authentic teachings and authentic practice to manifest in our life. So my own experiences, I did this all, and I have authentic teacher. And nowadays, I have authentic teachings, and now I tried my best to practice authentically. So this is very important, my own experiences. Now the Chika Bardo, seeing the Chika Bardo is the liberation towards Dharmakaya, Buddha. Some of us, we can be enlightened that moment. Some of us, we can achieve higher realization. So we don't need to come to rebirth through samsara. Some we can achieve a higher Buddha realms like a Sukhavati, but Dharmakaya level of realms. So there are many different levels of experiences. But Guru Rinpoche mentioned, you're going to see tomorrow, when you have that moment recognition, you are liberated, meaning you are enlightened at that moment. That's why my guru says, for practitioner, death is not a death. Death is a potential have of small enlightenment. It's such a beautiful encouragement. Death is not just death. but death is a small enlightenment, potential small enlightenment. The potential because of depend on the person. So here we say the Chika Bardo, the Bardo of moment of death. When you near the time of dying, remind yourself or dying person to confess, meaning you don't have nothing left in your heart like grudge. Supplicate to Buddha or Guru. Generate compassion, not to have anger. Remember the meditative state, the nature of mind. So the person is done the practice of nature of mind, then it's really good to remind them. Remind by Guru or Dharma colleagues or family members or something that has really good connections. So some of us, we don't know how fast we die. Generally, we can see the radiance of the face goes off, and within months, the people have potentially passed. My late father, Chonin Rinpoche, teach me to check a nerve in the one side of here. So because sometimes you have a breathing, people breathing very shallow, very short. Like that is the processing of losing the air. Sometimes the breath goes up, they don't breathe in, or sometimes you breathe in, you don't go out. And that is the beginning of dying process. Actually, whole thing is dying process, but now is the air is going out. So the first out air go, then inner air going to collapse. So my late Chodo Rinpoche teach me to check the nerve here. Where the nerve is not moving, then you can say that person is now in the really dying moment, the death moment. So basically, many of us, we don't need to go through that detail and that kind of worriness when the moment of death going to come. That's why we need to have regular momentum of practice, because we can have very easily remember our practices. So Chika Bardo, what really we need to understand, the really key points is what my late father Chonin Rinpoche said. Finding good teacher, authentic teacher, receiving authentic teaching, and most important is authentic practice. Then you're going to have authentic result is the key points of highlight. The second part of the highlight that I want to do is many of us, some of us, we have the good authentic teachers, but some of us we don't. We need to search for it. So what kind of accumulation of good habits we call in spiritual Dharma accumulation merit, accumulation habit I should create it to able to see that ripening in our life is, and you need to dedicate or dedicate and make aspiration and supplication. With supplication to the Buddhas and the Gurus, dedication to have authentic teacher, not chosen by you emotionally, but finding the lineage, the practice, the knowing the person and checking yourself, the checking the Guru, and you have that finding correct truth and authentic teacher. So the second point is making supplication, aspiration, dedication. Then now I'm going to go back to the point, at the moment of death, you can do poa for yourself, or Lama can do for this for you. So poa is a very important to learn. Now, poa have many different types of poa. Poa actually means eject, your consciousness. In Dharma, our Buddha Dharma, we have physical body and we have consciousness, mind. And we don't have any other extra stuff. We don't talk about so much. So we have the length of the body, or we have the strength of the body, the mind, and we have the radiant of the body and mind, radiant. So sometimes we lose the radiant, we have different prayers to gain back the radiant. Sometimes our life, the length is shortened, so we have different prayers or different things to do to prolong the life. Or sometimes our strength of life is not strong, then we have different prayers to bring up the strength. So we call La, then we say Se, then we say Sok. So I don't want to make everybody complicated, but we have that kind of very detailed stuff to say. But it's not important now, just you for information that we have much more to help beings because of Mahaguru Padma Sambhava and Buddha Shakyamuna's kindness. So the Poa is very important to learn. So I learned Poa from my beloved, my father. I learned Poa of Amitabha Poa, and I learned Poa from Guru Rinpoche Poa. And so we teach publicly is Amitabha Poa. So you all know this year, September, going to be in Poa in America. And Amitabha Sukhavati practices in Bali, October. And many of my students already learned Poa under my beloved father Rinpoche, Chon Rinpoche. So I know that many of students don't want to come for the Bardo Poa teachings in Bali. So I don't announce in the announcement, but I decide to teach the liberation upon a text that is very important text for the Dzogchen. We call the only son of Buddha, the liberation upon hearing, Sangye Sejik. So my Guru Japchitugu Ujjain Rinpoche give this blue chakra, the blue text, to all the students to wear, to have. So that chakra, that text, I'm going to give the longer one. I'm going to give the transmissions in the Poa program in the Bali, and I'm actually going to give some instruction, some explanation of the text. But I did not announce into that particular platform. And learning Poa is important. Now, after you learn the Poa, good to maintain the practice every month. When should practice? Amitabha, day of Amitabha is full moon day. So full moon day, full moon every month is Amitabha day, day of Amitabha. So you go to do short time of the Poa when you already done the practice. It's good to remember the practice to maintain that Poa. Well, live alive and well, make aspiration for time of death, not to suffer. Not to forget your practice, not to have attachment, and not to have fear and regrets. And aspire that you will remember the supplicate. So what does, because I'm sorry, my English reading not good because I never went to English school. I had small learning here, there by different friends, but I never really good reader and writer. So I hardly write my names only. But luckily, Guru's blessings, I can speak okay. And my YouTube friends, I like to watch YouTube so that learn a little bit of speaking. So what does it mean is when you're alive, when you're doing the practices, Dharma, and you need to make aspirations, please, time of the death, I don't have no suffering. Because the suffering sometimes a lot of physically pain makes you a lot of damages of your practice because you need to reduce the pain. Then you need to eat painkiller. Then your mind become very not clear. So my grandma, so 1991 when she's sick and she's dying, I was very young, and so I remember my father Rinpoche, late father Rinpoche, and uncle Japchi Nyima Rinpoche, they're saying that my grandma don't want to take any painkillers because that makes her mind not clear. So she want to go through that clear mind. So that makes such a great expression in my mind that we really need to have supplication, that physical pain, and not to have big pain in the physical. And most important, not to have forget our practice, and not to have any attachment, because attachment is a really one of the worst thing to be dying process is actually attachment to things or families or whatever, and not to have any fear and regrets. Okay, so it's very important. So for me, I like to advise that, to many of you, that when you go to sleep tonight, and imagine that you are dying tonight. Just imagine, just for a few minutes only, just to check yourself, what attachment you have, what fear you have, what regret you have, just to deeply you think about it. I think sometimes it's not really pleasant, not so nice, but it's a really good lesson to do. And make an aspiration that remember of my practice when the moment of death comes. And that kind of aspiration done by many great masters, great Jime Lingpa, Mandarava, Ishithojar, all that great ladies, Ishithojar, the great, our mother, her aspiration are so beautiful. So that, it's beautiful aspirations. So that kind of aspiration, I think, is important. And Jime Lingpa have a beautiful aspiration too. So that is Chika Parto. Now, Parto of Chunye Parto. Chunye Parto is Parto of luminosity. What does it mean is after you collapse, then we separate, then we not able to recognize, then we start experiencing. Then what in the Vajrayana explained that in our physical body is the actually of the mandala. The mandala at the base is like a place, the place of the Buddhas. So in the heart center, we have 42 Buddhas in the brain, or in the head. Inside the head, we have 58 wrathful Buddhas. So we have wrathful and peaceful Buddhas always being resting, being there in our heart and our brain, because our body and our speech and our mind is an expression. Is an expression, meaning it arises from our nature. So nature has tirikaya, meaning the expression of the nature is the body and the speech and the mind. So that's why what happened is we did not actually realize the expression, but what happened is we actually have a lot of clinging towards expression. Then that's where we begin to have a pain and suffering in ourselves. So that's why it's very important to see when the moment of the death comes, then after the moment of death finish, then all the Buddhas are going to come to see you, each Buddhas. Now here the most important key comes is that the Bardo of meditation, you can meditate, your awareness can stay for 1 minute, meaning in the Chunye Bardo, that Bardo of luminosity, you could see the Buddha of 1 minute. You can only stay meditation without distraction for 3 seconds, meaning you actually seeing Buddha for 3 seconds. So that's why it's so important to practice now. How long you can actually maintain is a very important key. So many of us, I don't think so we have chance to recognize, because our meditation is so short, like a seconds or sleep seconds. So our Buddhas like this 500 Buddha come so fast that we don't know how to recognize. So actually Guru Rinpoche's instruction was, when you see the Buddhas, the peaceful Buddha was the easiest, my Guru says. The wrathful Buddhas, they say, is too scary. The thunders and the sound and the graphic is so big, so great. Many of us, we could have fear. So that's why it's a very important, the key practice. When you have the Buddhas, wrathful Buddhas, peaceful Buddhas, you can see in the temples, especially Vajrayana temples, Tibetan temples, you can see all the wrathful in this. When you see, it's very important, look around, and not have this prejudgment idea. Just enjoy and see everything is my expression of my nature. Everything is enlightened. Everything is expression of nature. It's not separate from my nature, not separate from my body, not separate from my nature. Then you don't have this prejudgment fear or judgment fear. So you're going to see that is the most important to recognize. When you have that practices In the Bardo, what happens? In the Bardo of luminosity, when you see the wrathful or peaceful Buddhas, you're going to recognize that moment and you're going to be reborn to liberated Sambhogaya Buddha field, or you're going to rebirth to the Buddha field immediately, instantly. So here this says here, Bardo of luminosity, avoid having fear. Know that everything arises from your nature. Do not attach to the small light. So when you see the 5 lights, the bright lights, and you have dim lights, don't go into the dim lights, because the dim light is expression of your 5 poisons, and the 5 great light is the expression of your wisdoms. So go into the bright light. So this is a very short of the Bardo of the 5th. This kind of instruction is much more clear in the Guru Rinpoche text. So I'm not going to say so much, because you all need to write down and all this note. You don't need to worry about it, because Guru Rinpoche liberation upon hearing of Bardo could be much, much clearer. So it's already there. Now, some of you saying that somebody dies and what I can there do for you. Actually, you can read the liberation upon hearing of the Bardo, different languages, doesn't matter. Mantras is very important. Supplication to the Buddhas and the Guru Padmasambhava is very important. Doing compassion and Tonglen, you know how to practice Tonglen, it's very good. You don't know how to practice Tonglen, then practice just compassion towards the person who passed away. It's very, very important. Now, you cannot go to the person who's near to you and you're not allowed to go, doesn't matter. You can practice in far away. It's not really, doesn't matter. You want to go there, is feeling emotionally very good, but you cannot allow to go, then you can go, stay far away, and you can do supplicate from genuinely, then it's going to be beneficial. Now, the most important part that I want to say here is when the person passes away, and then they depart the body and the mind separated, then they start going out to the seeing things. They want to go to see their children and mothers and the fathers and whatever. They start going and see. And that time what happened is there has a really high sense. These Bardo beings have a very high sense. They can actually see through the mind, meaning whatever you're thinking, they can actually see. So that's why it's very important when somebody dies, you should not fight for wealth, name, things like that. It's going to be really damaging their feelings. So that when they, then somebody die, you genuinely do the good deeds. And what normally I advise is some like father dies and there are few kids. I try to recommend them, please chant one of the Buddhas, like Amitabha Buddha or Bodhisattva's mantra 100,000 times within the 49 days. So 7 weeks. Within the 7 weeks, try to finish 100,000 and dedicate to your father. This is what I encouraging to the families that I know. That way, you are doing something, and the parents, whoever passing away, can receive something, because you're doing from your heart with love, care, and compassion. Now, the 6th Bardo, Bardo of Sipa Bardo, the Bardo of becoming, or Bardo of now start becoming to rebirth. Now, that time, Guru Rinpoche said, the first part of the Sipa Bardo is you need to remember the Buddha field, like Amitabha Buddha field, or Akshobhya Buddha field, or of Sangtokpa Girivan Guru Rinpoche, or whichever Buddha field that you are familiarized. Normally, whether it's Chinese Mahayana or Vajrayana, doesn't matter. We are well known to supplicate Amitabha, because Amitabha Buddha field is the most favorable, easy to rebirth, because of Amitabha's aspiration. And the Buddha Shakyamuni actually mentioned few times in the, repeatedly saying that rebirth to Amitabha land is very easy and important. Shakyamuni Buddha to teach us. So that's why it's very important to do it. I have some friends, students saying that Rinpoche, I am doing emptiness meditation or Dzogchen meditation. Why I need to pray to go to Amitabha land? And I always tell them, making joke, I say, it's insurance. When the Dzogchen meditation, because of our diligence, are not doing well in the moment of death, so we have no chances to recognize of moment of death or the Bardo of luminosity. But then because of we always supplication and making aspiration to rebirth to Amitabha land, what happened is that is like an insurance. It helps us to rebirth Amitabha land. Now, when you rebirth Amitabha land, you're not enlightened, but you don't need to come back to samsara. It's such an amazing thing. You stay there in Sukhavati, meaning the Amitabha land, and you receive the teaching, and you practice there. Then you become bodhisattvas or arahants or enlightened Buddha. So whichever level you want to achieve in aspirations, you can do there. It's like a really good place to practice. So Amitabha land is really good to do no matter what practice we do. So, the Bardo becoming, I encouraging all of you, please have a motivation and aspiration to rebirth to Amitabha land. You know, it's a very easy and have a very simple remembering of Amitabha time to time. When I accumulate merit, we say accumulate good habits, dedicate to rebirth to Amitabha land, all the sentient beings. 100 times every year, at least few days, you know, having supplicate, you know, little diligently Amitabha, learn the Amitabha power, ejection consciousness power, and having this kind of connection to Amitabha is a very, very genuinely very, very easy for all of us in busy life people, and it's a very, very authentic. And we have you don't need to doubt at all. You're going to rebirth there. I have no doubt. Now here, remember the Buddha and your gurus and the focus of the being rebirth to the Pure Land that I already mentioned. Now for those who have died, the living can accumulate merit, meaning good habit, and the behalf of the with the 35 Buddha confessing practice. So this is particular practice called confessing. Avalokiteshvara practice means Konyan Puja in Chinese. Vajrasattva practice, Amitabha practice, and Shito meaning 100 deity, the peaceful and wrathful 100 deity practice, and so forth, meaning included there Guru Rinpoche and Tara and other practices, and dedicate this merit within these first 21 days for the 49 days journey. So what does it mean of that is the beginning first 3 weeks is a very crucial week. This 3 weeks is the way you can push the person disease in the wish rebirth. After 4 weeks, the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and 7th week, the last 4 weeks, what happened is that is already started preparing for rebirthing. So the longest one is 7 weeks to remember. So while alive, make aspiration that wherever you are born, you may see that everything is a Tiri Vajra, appear as the deity, sound as a mantra, and all experience of wisdom. So that is we call Tiri Buddha expression. The sight of Buddha, the sound of mantra, and the mind is wisdom. Having taken rebirth, for whatever you experience by letting go of attachment. And now this is the life, make aspiration that if you do take rebirth, you are born into family to practice Dharma with a good guru nearby. So this kind of aspiration is very, very important. And in your aspiration, visualize that your two parents are the Guru Yavyum, Guru Rinpoche. So now this is a Guru Rinpoche teaching instruction how to rebirth correctly. So now you have no chance that you're going to rebirth. You lose the chance of rebirth to Amitabha land. Now you lose everything. You cannot block your birth. You're really now going through the birth. Now when you see the parents and now you entering the mother's womb, And that time you visualize, oh, the father is my Guru Padma Sambhava, the mother is Ishitojar, and you go to rebirth there, you're going to have much better life and chances. Thinking that whatever you are doing right now is that is the Bardo state. So that basically the point is right now whatever you're doing is actually Bardo. So that is a very, very important to remember. So this is my short instruction of a Bardo, just to highlight of the 6 Bardo. But I think that tomorrow going to be the more detailed explanation of 3 Bardo, the Bardo of death, Bardo of luminosity, and Bardo of the becoming of rebirth. These 3 Bardo are going to be completely focused by Mahanguru Padma Sambhava teaching. So tomorrow I'm going to give first I'm going to give the transmissions. Then after that, I'm going to explain. So that text you can use as a liberation text. You can read that text to the people who die. Within the 49 days, you can read every day to support the people who die, pass away. Okay? So now I'm going to do some question answers.
So Rinpoche La, so we have collected a few questions for you. So the first question is, if we die in an unexpected situation, such as an accident, what is important to remember or to do?
So most important, as a practitioner myself, I just want to have trust to my Guru, trust the Buddha, then just that's it. But now many of you don't have the trust yet. Then what happened is need to focus compassion, just having clear compassion, no attachment, just having compassion. I think that is the good choice. Myself, I just want to have trust.
Thank you, Rinpoche La. So we have another question. I have lost my mother. I miss her a lot and I dream about her. I feel that I could not save her and I lost her. I live with regret. How can I help her and myself? Please guide me through.
That question, I think, is very important for all of us, because when we practice compassion, we automatically we're thinking that we have go into the zone of savior zone. Compassion practice is not idea of savior. Everybody have their own experience of karma. So compassion meaning that you really trying your best through your kindness, your heart for the person, but you not being putting your hand on their life and try to save, but they have their own karmic experiences. So please understand that their mother or anyone who pass away, they have their own karma. And now you have a compassion, what you can do for your mother, no matter how many months already passed, you can actually accumulate a mantra, compassion, bodhisattva, Om Mani Padme Hum Re, mantra like at least 100,000 times, and dedicate to your mother. is going to be much, much better for the mother. And that indirectly helps you too. Mhm.
Thank you. So we have another question here. How much do the circumstances at death affect what happens in Bardo for our future incarnation or enlightenment? Specifically, are afflictive states of mind at the time of death, such as being angry or fearful or under anesthesia, is that a deal breaker? Will they erase our positive forces and so on that we have accumulated and put us in a hungry ghost realm or animal realm or even hell realm? That's the question.
So actually in the Bardo's teaching, the moment of the death is a state of mind is very crucial. So that is no other answer. It's very important. Now the question is, I am going through a anesthesia, I have going through coma, so I can't, no reaction, like a brain dead, vegetable state. So what we can do for that means that I like to say two things, actually three things. First, physically, you give a chakra. This liberation upon swearing. For that, the Japje Truku Ujin Rinpoche's disciple, David Ye in Taiwan, he always give me free distribution to the people. And this time he's giving me 5,000 pieces. I already give away over 200 in the Vietnamese students. So that kind of Sangye Seiji, putting, say, vegetable state parents or family members, put in a heart center. When you see lamas, we give blessing pills. The blessing pills you mix with the water, put it in the tongue. Then you chant mantras. You do these three things, or one of this, guarantee by the Buddhas, that person not going to go through lower realms by that blessings. So please remember, okay? So it's not like we don't have no other way. We have so many ways. You can chant mantra, prayers, liberation upon hearing. You can give them blessing pills, and you have chakra.
Thank you. Next question. How to be there for my grandma when she doesn't really want me to visit her?
Her. You need to respect her. Just don't go, but you pray for her.
So next question. How do you go about, Rinpoche mentioned earlier in the teachings, the importance of finding an authentic teacher. So the question is, how do you go about finding an authentic teacher?
Not knowing a lot of the exposure of the Dharma, especially in the Vajrayana. So I can see that you're going through a lot of challenges. The first most important, what you need to do is check which lineages they belong to, meaning which guru's line. And after, when you find the guru line lineages, authentic one, what they teach, how they do guru is very important to listen and check. Investigate at least 1 year or 2, not more than that.
Rinpoche La, this is the last question for today. When the moment of thought-free wakefulness is recognized and we are liberated into the Dharmakaya, is that liberation absolute or only as long as the recognition is able to be sustained?
When you have a genuine recognition, that moment, many of practitioners, they're just liberated completely. So they stay in a state of meditation sometimes, but they completely just, dissolve into it. Some, they recognize, they maintain a little bit, then they come to, back. So it depends, but majority, what Guru Rinpoche said, that when you recognize that moment, that's it. You already saw Dharmakaya, you're liberated. So I'd like to say thank you very much to all the participants today, and especially translators who work very hard work, and all my Samye Institute volunteers and all the people in the background doing so much hard work there to create this platform. And many of you can see that how much you all enjoying the Samye Institute platform to you. Please go into that and support the Samye Institute platform with different ways. I think it's very good for you. I created this institute for you all to enjoy. So now we came with the platform to benefit all the Dharma practitioners. So see you again. Thank you. And I'm going to do a short supplication. Nama dra juji gula zuro ndezo mananga da nyambe temje damje lama deje lonjo zobe gula zuro ndezo mananga da nyambe temje da lama duje dube gula zuro ndezo jambo jidara jambo da gundo zambo deyan deje dute da gunje jizol Gevande da tamje rabdo ngo duzon jube jawa tamje je ngo ngalo jolo ngo bode da ge geve da wande go zambo je rabdo ngo reje gunzan dorje chanje meje ne renje da yelo ma yinje je do edo do balam teda tamje dengre do barai jo duzum zanje guru rumbo je guru gunda dewa je be jo parje gunza dundro to ko do sorwander do chinje labs Chinang Sangwe Barji Yavadon Samba Lunji Rubara Jinje Lo Demban Jik Dengam Zo Jambadon Demban Yu Shindusa Tenzin Pulub Timba Darjinje Demba Yuring Nebe Rashi Jo Jawa Kunji Nyaram Jikguru Javin Yung La Tekju Dukwash Jawan Pimering Long Han Jurbi Jadin Chokdar Jabe Rashi Jo Rubi Tirchin Jamzon Kolo Jur Dundur Chok Jur Dejin Lingbai Ringlo Chokdu Kundu Chabadam Pendege Zenge Rashi Sho. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche La, on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much for this profound teaching, and thank Thank you, all of you, for joining us and sharing the merit of this teaching. We would especially like to thank our incredible translation team, Anita for Portuguese, Hervé for French, Marcela for Spanish, Sukanya for Thai, Birat for Nepali, Hong for Vietnamese, Kathy for Chinese, Henry for Indonesian, Arne for German, and Tom for Japanese. Thank you so much for that hard and intense work of yours. Dear all, we apologize if you did encounter issues today accessing our website. Our server was simply overwhelmed with the response from Rinpoche students. So all the links and all the barcodes that you might have attempted to try during these last few hours, they will all work again in a few hours. So please have a little bit of a patience, and they will be working again shortly. Furthermore, we will be posting the links and the promotion code for the Vajrayana membership. We will post that in an email that you will receive from Zoom after Rinpoche's teachings tomorrow. So if you didn't sort of note it all down, you will receive an email with that information. All right, so from all of us at Sami Institute, please, all of you, stay safe and be well. We will see you all again tomorrow, where Phakchok Rinpoche will continue teaching on the Bardos. Rinpoche will bestow instructions and teaching based on the liberation upon hearing, a liberation text that is arranged by the great Jamgon Kongtrul Lodro Tae. You can access a version of this text in a number of different languages by following the link that has been or shortly will be posted in the chat. So that's it for today. We hope to see you all again tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
谢谢刘婉丽老师，谢谢仁波切，谢谢大家。
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Rinpoche. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Recording
bye,
stopped.
bye, 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 bye.
Bye bye.